There are numerous Marian apparitions that are known in locales around the world, but not really well known outside of those regions. I've covered some of them before. Our Lady of Aparecida comes to mind, and now I present another German apparition. The previous German apparition I covered was Our Lady of Hide, a 1930s apparition in that country. And now we visit one from 1946, a time of struggle in that country. The message is going to be familiar to those who have read or watched a lot of work on the messages of Our Lady, and this is no different from the others. Soon I will begin work on my long-promised video putting together the warnings from Our Lady and from the various mystics I've covered. For in that I suspect you'll get a good idea of what the close of this fifth age of the Church looks like, what the chastisement that is coming looks like, and what the aftermath will be. But for now, let's learn together about this message that you've probably never heard of. And I'll take this moment to thank the patrons who have supported the work of this channel and made it possible for me to do this work. Over on my sources blog at returntotradition.org, which is free to the public, you can skip past the Patreon pop-up unless you want to become a patron. You will find in the post with the title of this video as its title, you will see all the sources listed. Some of them are books. Fair warning. You should be able to find those on Google Books, though, probably. But there will be links to the online sources as well. Let's get into this. The Marian apparition that most people have never heard of occurred in 1946 near Pfaffenhofen, Germany. You can imagine what Germany was like in 1946, especially if you're familiar with how the population was treated at that time by the Allied victors. Pfaffenhofen is located near Munich in southern Germany. The south of Germany is quite well known for being a very Catholic part of Europe, perhaps one of the most Catholic. Pfaffenhofen is located in Bavaria. In our time, you might be most familiar with Bavarian Catholicism from the story in 2018 where the head of the Bavarian district ordered Christian symbols to be put in municipal and district buildings. What caused the uproar wasn't that act, it was Cardinal Reinhard Marx chastising the public servant in the media for doing that, and he invoked his role as the head of the German Bishops' Conference in so inflicting that personal chastisement. You know, the same German Bishops' Conference that is now, as we speak, debating whether or not the Catholic priesthood is necessary anymore in the Church. Our Lady appeared in Bavaria in 1946 in a small community of the faithful, and she came bearing a message for our time. Our Lady appeared to a young girl aged 13 named Barbara Roos. She experienced 3 apparition visits in 1946. In the first, an angel appeared, and calling himself the Angel of the Great Mediatrix of Graces, and it told Barbara to kneel while he addressed a prayer to the Blessed Virgin Mary. Quote, "Act as the Mother of Grace. Act as the thrice miraculous Mother, the thrice admirable Mother of Grace, thou great Mediatrix of Graces." As the angel prayed, the Blessed Virgin then appeared. Now in the second apparition to Barbara, Mary told her, "I am the Mediatrix of all graces. Just as no one can meet the mercy of the Father except through the sacrifice of Jesus, so you cannot be heard by my Son except through my intercession. Christ is not well known because I am not well known and loved." Now, you may have a hard time with the idea of Christ not being well known, but in this context, Our Lady certainly means that few personally know her Son, that many claim to know him, but in reality, very few do. This should remind us to deepen our lives of faith. Now, in the third apparition, the Blessed Mother appeared surrounded with angels who knelt before her in profound reverence and then worshipped the Holy Trinity. Now, when she knelt before her, she wasn't kneeling before her and showing reverence to Barbara. She was kneeling before her in an act of worship of the Trinity. Our Lady is described by Barbara as being unspeakably beautiful and brilliant, a blinding vision of most pure light and radiance. Above her head were brilliant rays forming a 3-tiered crown. When she lifted her hand to give a blessing, she became incredibly brilliant and transparent. So bright was she that Barbara was unable to look at her. This is similar to other Marian apparitions, where the seer was barely able to look upon the visage of Our Lady. Barbara asked her who she was. Our Lady responded, "If I didn't have a veil, you would recognize me." When Our Lady was leaving the encounter, she added, "May Christ's peace be with you and all those who will pray here." The primary message here deals with prayer, sacrifice, praying of the Rosary, and the consecration to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. The importance of the Rosary was highlighted as well as the need to live a life of holiness, sacrifice, and consecration to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. The Blessed Virgin stated the great importance of offering acts of love, praise, and adoration to God the Father and the Most Holy Trinity. Our Lady also underscored the great truth that she is Mediatrix of all graces, which is a position that was taught by popes in various different writings of theirs, though not of course, in a formally dogmatic way, all the way until the current claimant to the papal throne rejected the idea in a speech he gave somewhere. Now, in addition to underscoring the great truth, of course, that she is the Mediatrix of All Graces, she declared that it is the will of the Father that the world acknowledge this position of his handmaid. The following is a synthesis of Our Lady of Marian Freed's messages as compiled into one message by the website Salve Maria Regina. They did great work on this, and I'm going to give them I want to make sure they get full credit. A link to that is in the show notes at returntotradition.org. That's the name of this podcast with a .org at the end. Now again, this is a message of Our Lady that the Church has not rejected nor condemned those involved with, and has been lost to most people by the sands of time and the waves of modernism. And the local bishop in 2000 gave permission for the faithful to go on pilgrimage to the site of the apparitions in Pfaffenhofen. The following is a synthesis of the message as compiled by Salve Maria Regina. I am the powerful Mediatrix of Graces. As the world can find only mercy through the sacrifice of the Son with the Father, so can you only find favor with the Son through my intercession. Christ is so unknown because I am not known, because the nations rejected his Son. The Father poured out his cup of wrath upon them. It is true that the world was consecrated to my Immaculate Heart, but this consecration has become a fearful responsibility for many men. I demand that the world live this consecration. I am the sign of the living God. I place my sign on the foreheads of my children, those who consecrate themselves to my Immaculate Heart. The star, Lucifer, will persecute the sign, but my sign will conquer the star. Have unreserved confidence in my Immaculate Heart. Believe that I am able to do everything with my Son. Substitute my Immaculate Heart in place of your sinful hearts. Then it will be I who will draw the power of God, and the love of the Father will renew the fullness of Christ in you. Fulfill my request so that Christ may reign as the King of Peace. The world will have to drain the cup of wrath to the dregs because of the countless sins through which his heart is offended. The star of the infernal regions will rage more violently than ever and will cause frightful destruction, because he knows that his time is short, and because he sees that already many have gathered around my sign. Over these he has no spiritual power, although he will kill the bodies of many, but through these sacrifices my power to lead the remnant host to victory will increase. Some have already allowed my sign to be impressed on them. Their number will increase. But I want to tell you, my children, not to forget that the very cross of these bloody days is a grace. Pray, make sacrifices for sinners, offer yourselves and your works to the Father through me, and put yourselves at my disposal without reserve. Pray the rosary. Pray not so much for external things. Weightier things are at stake in these times. Expect no signs or wonders, such as the many phony visions and apparitions deluging the world today. I shall be active as the powerful Mediatrix in secret. After this, the devil will be possessed of such power that those who are not firmly established in me will be deceived. There is a time coming when you will stand in this place all alone, and will be frightfully calumniated. Because the devil knows how to deceive men, they permit themselves to be completely blinded to the higher things. But you should establish everything on confidence in my Immaculate Heart. The devil has power over all people who do not trust in my heart. Wherever people substitute my Immaculate Heart for their sinful hearts, the devil has no power. But he will persecute my children. They will be despised, but he can do them no harm. I am the powerful Mediatrix of Grace. It is the will of the Father that the world acknowledge this position of his handmaid. People must believe that I am the permanent bride of the Holy Ghost and the faithful Mediatrix of all graces. God wants it so. Only my children recognize this sign because it reveals itself in secret, and for in it they have given glory to the eternal God. I cannot manifest my power to the world in general. I must still hold myself aloof with my children. In secret I shall work marvels in souls until the required number of victim souls will be filled. Upon you it depends to shorten the days of darkness. Your blood and your sacrifices shall destroy the image of the beast. Then I can manifest myself to the world for the glory of the Almighty. Choose my sign, so that the triune God may soon be adored and honored. Apostles and priests should consecrate themselves to me especially, so that the great sacrifices which the inscrutable one demands above all from them may, when placed in my hands, increase in sanctity and worth. Pray and offer sacrifices through me. Pray always. Pray the rosary. Make all your entreaties to the Father through my Immaculate Heart. If they are conducive to his honor, he will grant them. In your prayers, ask him not for things of temporal worth, but implore graces for individual souls, for the community, for for the nations, so that all may come to love and honor the divine heart. Keep the Saturdays which have been dedicated to me as I have requested. Bring many sacrifices and offerings to me. Offer your prayers to me as sacrifices. Be not seekers of self. That honor be shown to the Eternal and atonement be made to him is required of these times. If you consecrate yourselves without reserve, I shall take care of all the rest. Crosses weighty and deep as the sea I shall lay upon my children, because I love them in my sacrificed Son. I beseech you, be prepared to carry the cross, that peace may soon be achieved. I have already given many signs and spoken often to the world, but people have not taken them seriously. On account of these outward signs, the great multitude do not even grasp the essential things. Outward signs only succeed in distracting many, who do not draw the necessary conclusions from them. I urge my people to fulfill my wishes quickly, because today, more than ever, such fulfillment of my will is necessary for God's greater honor and glory. The Father pronounces a dreadful woe upon all who refuse to obey his will. Does that not sound like our generation? Not just this year or last, but in general, our world and our time. As we speak, the integrity of many of the faithful are being put to the test over the demands of Caesar, with the ability to buy or sell suddenly at risk if the faithful don't follow the lead of a suspect bishop in white in Rome who preaches the values of the world in a time of moral chaos. If you refuse to bow to his will and to the will of the Caesars he serves, you will be left out to dry, ostracized with a large cross to carry. It is something we must consider in our times, and especially the message that Our Lady bore in Bavaria in 1946. Get to know her Son, seek out sanctity, live the life of Christ, pray for others, and if you can, pray at the sight of these apparitions in 1946. But most of all, consecrate yourself to her Immaculate Heart. Pray the Rosary and entreat her Son and the Father through her Immaculate Heart, especially for the salvation of others. That is the core of the message, and if you hold to it in the end, you will be all right. Personally, I find this to be one of the heavier messages of Our Lady, not because it has explicit doom and gloom in it, though it does, but because it reminds us that so many profess to know her Son but truly don't. The implications of that are kind of scary. We all must remedy that, even if you think this message is not authentic or whatnot. What Christian would disagree with the message that we must all know her Son and follow him? I hope you found this helpful. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, please, and like and subscribe if you haven't. It really does help. As always, pray for the Church. I'm Anthony Stine. Ave Maria.